Right, grade 12. This is part 2 of that previous lesson. We are now going to draw the graph. As I said, you are drawing this graph with me. So stop going to your happy place and wake up and take out your workbook. You write today's date. Your heading is total cost, total revenue, approach to profit maximization. All right, you draw your axis, get where I am. Again, please excuse the skewness of my axes and my ugly handwriting. It's very difficult to do this on the computer. Okay, you are doing it in your workbook, and at the end of this lesson, you are physically going to send me a photo on WhatsApp, or in this instance, you can also submit on Teams, but I want to see a photograph of this graph today still as proof that you have drawn it. As I said, this graph is in your textbook, but you are going to add. Okay, and seeing as though your textbook, you don't have a printed version necessarily, I want you to draw this graph nice and big, because I'm going to be writing a lot of stuff on this graph, and everything I do, you have to do too. Okay, now first of all, if your axis is there, we are going to first of all draw total revenue. Now remember, we said your total revenue, this is a perfect market because your price is constant. If I sell, so let's say my price is 10 Rand, like it was in our example. If I sell nothing, my total revenue is going to be nothing. So my total revenue graph is going to start at the origin. If I sell 10, my total revenue is going to be 100. 10 times 10 is 100. If I sell 20, 10 times 20 is 200. If I sell 30, 30 times 10 is 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. The more I sell, the higher my revenue will go. So your total revenue is going to start at the origin, and it is going to slope upwards. Okay, this is my total revenue. Now it's going to go up and up and up and up and up until it reaches Jesus in the heavens above. It's never going to decrease. Okay. If we then go to my total cost. Remember, we said total cost has the shape of a stretched out S. Okay. Your total cost is made up from variable cost and fixed cost. We're going to do this in detail again in the next lesson. Okay. But your variable cost are the costs that will increase when my production increases and decrease when my production decreases. If I produce nothing, I have no variable cost. My fixed costs are the cost that has to be paid, and it doesn't change when my production changes. So if my fixed cost, like rent, whatever, is 2,000 Rand, it's going to be 2,000 Rand regardless of how much I produce. All right. Your total cost is your variable cost plus your fixed cost. Now, because your fixed cost is never nothing, because there's always a fixed cost, your total cost can always be nothing, because there's always a fixed cost. So, my total cost cannot start at 0. It has to start where my fixed costs will start. And then it has the shape of a stretched out S. Okay, that is my total cost. All right, it will always intersect with my total revenue twice. Okay, so first of all, this first point of intersection, and there's a second point of intersection. All right, where two graphs intersect, that means that the two graphs are equal. So at this point, my total revenue and my total cost is equal. At this point, my total cost and my total revenue is equal. All right. So whatever this quantity is here, okay, let's say this quantity is 10. Yeah, we're just pretending. All right, and at that quantity there, Okay, at the point where they intersect, okay, you just find your output level. Let's say in this case it is 50. All right, at an output level of 10 and at an output level of 50, your total revenue and your total cost is equal. This means that the business is going to break even. Okay, that is your break even point. Okay, that's your break-even point, and the same here. Okay, where total cost and total revenue is equal. Okay, that means if you calculate your profit, you're going to get an answer of 0. Yeah, because it is the same, it's equal. So your profit is going to give you a 0 if you calculate it. Okay, that is break-even point. Your costs and your revenue is equal. Now, in economics, there's no such thing as no profit. Okay? If it's like this, if your total revenue and your total cost is equal, it looks like a break-even point. The type of profit that is made here is called a normal profit. Okay, it'll be a normal profit. All right, normal profit means it looks like no profit. But in economics, there is never no profit. You know this from last year, but I am going to also explain this when we do the different types of profits. Okay, so same as there. In this case also, there is a normal profit. Right. Now, add that's these two cases, right? But now also, when we look at every other point on the graph, okay, we go from 0, there's your 0, up to 10. Okay, up to 10 units. At this point, I'm just going to move my graph up so that I can write here. Okay, at this point now, you can see that my total cost is the blue graph. My total cost is more than my total revenue. All right, so for this, from 0 units up to 10 units, my total cost is above, the graph is above the total revenue. This means that my total cost is higher than my total revenue. And if my costs are more than my revenue, I am going to be making losses. All right, there's no profit here. In this case, it is an economic loss. Okay, economic loss. Right, and you are writing all of this down on your graph. I want to see it. Okay. Then, after 50 units, okay, so if we go more than 50 units until the end of eternity now, all right, if we just shift the graph again, okay, for this section here, for more than 50 units, again, it's after the first point of intersection. So from 0 up to the first break-even point, my costs are higher than my revenue. Okay, then there's this middle piece, and then we have the second point of intersection where there's break-even point again. After this break-even point, my costs again are more than my revenue. All right, so at higher quantities, again, the same thing is going to happen because my total cost graph is above my total revenue graph. The cost is the blue one, the revenue is the red one. So total cost again is higher than total revenue. And in this case, again, if my costs are more than my revenue, if I do the calculation, it is going to give me a negative answer. So this is my economic loss. All right, happiness. Okay, now we're going to go to this middle section. Okay, in the middle here, so between unit 10, from unit 11 up to unit 49. This section here, it's the only one that we haven't discussed now. Ne? So from that unit up to unit 50. If you now look at the graph, you will see that my revenue is higher than my costs. Okay, so in this in-between section here, we are going to say that my total revenue now my income is higher than my costs. So at this point, I am going to be making an economic profit. All right. And obviously, we will discuss what it means. Economic profit, economic loss, normal profit. We will discuss that in a next lesson. All right. So there's my economic profit. All right. So we know that my business wants to maximize profits. He doesn't want to maximize losses. So he's not going to producing units here, less than 10. He's not going to produce more than 50 because then he's making losses. He wants to maximize his profit. So in this section here, where his total revenue is higher than his total cost, that is where he's going to make an economic profit. All right. So all of these units, we need to look at the vertical distance between the two graphs. All right. So if you draw vertical lines, now obviously this is unit whatever, 12, 20, whatever, 30, whatever, whatever units is indicated here on the graph. Okay. Where his vertical distance is the highest. So you're going to see which of these vertical lines are the longest. I'm going to say it's this one. All right. Whatever is written here. Okay, the unit indicated there where it's 40 or whatever. I'm going to pretend it's 40. All right, this is where he will maximize his profit. All right, on a graph, and you're going to write this down. Okay, you're going to write now. Profits are maximized where the vertical distance between total revenue and total cost is the biggest. But for as long as total revenue is higher than total cost. All right. That is what you're going to write down. That is your profit maximization rule on a graph. All right. Write it down. Profits are maximized where the vertical distance between total cost and total revenue is the biggest. Because physically, if you want to calculate this profit now, all you're going to do is you're going to take whatever the total cost is at this point. Okay, there will be your total cost, right? And there will be your total revenue. So whatever the values are, that's why we take the vertical distance. All right, whatever your income is there, minus whatever your cost is there, that is going to give you the value of your profit. Okay, the vertical distance must be the biggest. All right, so you have drawn this graph with me. You have written down everything that you were supposed to. After this, you have no homework. This is your homework. So once you have done this, you take a photo and you either send it to me on Teams or you send it to me on WhatsApp.